Hey, welcome to a new episode of the Mindset Up Show. Today, we're taking a peep behind the curtain of how Kenzi grew her Instagram following and how she's growing her design business and an education business called Debrief Collective. Enjoy. Hey, Kenzi, you've worked several jobs before becoming a designer. What led you onto this path?
So when I first started, I knew I wanted to be a designer from an early age. So when I worked other jobs, it was actually like high school, like part-time jobs. And I'd say in like middle school, like eighth grade, I don't even know if they have that where you're from. But they had like a little introduction class to like graphic design. I started learning more about it and I was like, ooh, this is like what I want to do. And so I just, after I found it, I was like, yeah, this is it. I'm going to go to school for that. Like, I was just like tunnel vision, like, that's what I'm going to do. And so I went to college and I still was like kind of working at Domino's on the side, like doing some part-time stuff seasonally. But I started freelancing in college and then graduated fully self-employed. So I never really had a like traditional 9 to 5 or like a traditional corporate job.
Okay, that's really cool to hear that you already were self-employed when you were still going to college. How did you get your clients back then?
I started getting most of my clients from Facebook groups. And I think the online landscape has obviously really changed a lot since then. So, yeah, I mean, I got a website, put a portfolio up. I did post on Instagram, but it was like very early stages of social media being used for business. Like, there was no TikTok, there was no short form video back then. So, I was in local Facebook groups, and that's where I got my first few clients. And then I did attend like a local networking thing and got a client here or there. But I didn't have any big projects at that time. Like it wasn't really until I got into short form video content after a few years that I landed big clients. But, Facebook definitely helped me get started.
Yeah. And would you say that has been like the biggest difference from when you were starting out? You entered groups and now you're totally focusing on the content marketing side of things?
Yeah, definitely. I
Yeah.
used Facebook groups a lot. I did used to get on freelance sites again when I was newer. I wasn't charging nowhere near what I charge now. I wasn't attracting high ticket clients back then. And then once I started to make that transition into higher ticket clients, I started relying more on attraction marketing and using content. And that's kind of where I get all my clients from now. And it's been this way for a few years.
Yeah. Okay, that's really cool. You also, besides the service-based business as a designer, you also co-founded the Brief Collective, which is more like a community thing where you can learn how to grow your career as a designer. What is like your biggest goal right now? Growing the service-based business or the Brief Collective?
Probably the Brief Collective. I feel more passionate about that. It gives me a lot of purpose and like just being able to help designers in the way that I wish I would have been helped by someone is really nice. Like when I started, there was not nearly as many resources as there are now, but the design industry in general is just so undervalued. Freelancers are constantly underpaid, overworked, taken advantage of, like this long list of things. So I've really formed a love for advocating for other creatives and like showing them, hey, it doesn't have to be like this, it can be better. I will, however, say probably the biggest challenge with growing that business is the fact we're serving a market who has a lot of scarcity around investment. They have a lot of scarcity around spending money. So it's really, really hard to get them to take that leap, even just to join a monthly membership at a really low ticket rate. Like it takes a lot of our students a long time to get comfortable with the idea of investing thousands of dollars into their education.
Hmm. Yeah, I get that. That's something that's pretty common among other niches as well. Is there a big difference between the way you market your service-based business and the Brief Collective?
Definitely. My services are geared towards six-figure plus business owners who are already making money. They've already made investments. And so a lot of times my content there is storytelling. I'm showing my work, I'm showing how I work with clients, showing transformations. And those people don't really have that whole scarcity around investing money. And they also are a lot more experienced. Whereas at the Brief Collective, I'm speaking to newer designers, people who haven't yet really invested a lot in their education unless they went to a traditional school. And they're also just having a lot of challenges trying to grow their business, not really seeing success yet. So it's definitely different marketing to people who aren't making money yet versus marketing to people who are making money.
Hmm. Yeah. And has it ever been an option to, instead of trying to attract people who did not yet make money with designing, to focus on the part that is already working in-house and they maybe want to become self-employed like you did?
We've had a few students come through our program who are in that area. And that's the weird thing is like we attract different people. Like we've had people who are working corporate and they want to get out. We've had people who are already freelancing and they've made a little money. And then we've had people who are like brand new, like I just got laid off and I like don't have any money left. So we're attracting all three of these people, but I think for me personally, I'm most passionate about helping the people who are already freelancing full time or have gotten laid off or fired or whatever it is. And they're like, okay, it's make or break it. Like, I have to do it now because
Hmm.
I went all in on myself and just believed in myself, never had that regular stable job. So I want to help other people be able to do that.
Yeah, that's a very nice mission. Does your co-founder has the same mission and vision as you are?
Definitely. And we have different backgrounds, which really works to our advantage. She is completely self-taught. She didn't get a college degree. I got the college degree. I am not self-taught, yet we've both built successful design businesses. So we're really able to bring our backgrounds together and show people, hey, it doesn't matter where you've come from, doesn't matter where you're starting, you can get to this endpoint that you want to get to.
Hmm. Yeah, it's really cool to see that you co-founded an info product business, because usually it's like somebody starts alone and the team eventually grows. But how do you and your partner divide the different responsibilities of this business?
Well, I will start off by saying there were three of us when it started. Not, I haven't really spoken much about the third person and what happened with that because it's wild, but we kind of want to write a book about it one day. Like, so my co-founder and I and this other person met on Clubhouse. So when we started, it was just supposed to be a community, and then we just got so many questions from designers asking like, how are you booking these big clients? How are you doing X, Y, and Z? That it turned into us making more educational resources and making money. And then I'd say with time, it just kind of happened naturally where we saw like what are my co-founder's strengths and what are my strengths. And it just kind of happened that, okay, she's taking over the HR and like managing our employees and doing that side of things and financial stuff. And then I'm over here doing like the marketing and all of that. So it just worked out that we happen to be like a complementary pair.
Hmm. Okay, that's amazing, especially when it grows organically like that. You've just mentioned that it started like on Clubhouse. What was the first big aha moment that you knew like, oh, we're actually onto something with Debrief Collective?
Probably the first time we decided to just open our course. Like, this was quite a few years ago, and we had just been doing like design challenges, stuff like that. And we're like, okay, we're going to try to launch an actual paid program. And we opened it. I want to say when we opened it, it was like $1,500, and we got 10 people in, which for us doing that for the first time ever, no experience, we were like, wow, like, okay, this is actually something people want. And I think in that moment, the first time we ever opened the doors and had students to teach, we realized, okay, this is like working and this is something that we love to do.
It's amazing. You obviously know the difference between doing the services yourself and teaching others. what would you say is like the biggest challenge in launching an info product instead of launching your services?
One of the biggest challenges is the fact that you will have to constantly redo it over and over and over again. And every time you have a new cohort or more people come in, there's always going to be something that somebody finds or something that you need to change up or like just do differently to make the experience better and get better results for the people that are in your program. Like we've redone ours so many times, but because we've redone it, now it starts at $5,000. Like that's the price now compared to what it was. So it's like a constant evolution of refinement. And I think that the best course creators know that.
Mhm. Yeah, that makes totally sense. How do you deal like with the, I don't want to say anxiety, but it's obviously very exciting when you start off and you launch a product, but you do not yet know what the reactions will be. How do you handle that?
I don't really think too much about what people are going to think. Like I don't really dwell that hard on are people gonna like this because anything that we make, like I feel like I know our students so well. I know what they need help with, so I don't really ever worry like, oh, what are they gonna think or are they gonna like this? Because I've been so far in their shoes and still an active working designer in that field to this day that anything we make, we kind of know it's gonna serve them in one way or another. So I think more so the anxiety and anticipation of just like handling a launch and like marketing it and making all the things like that's probably the most overwhelming part, like making all of the emails and making sure the signups work and making sure everything's linked and all that stuff. That's probably the most overwhelming thing for me.
Yeah, yeah, I can understand. You have to double check like a trillion times, like, is this the right link after this button? I totally get it. Uh, what marketing strategies um, have worked best for you for growing your audience and as well converting them into paying customers?
um be a relentless pain in the ass, as in if you know that someone can benefit from what you have to offer, do not stop following up with them. Like I said, our people will watch our program for years before they decide to invest. And I'll like have people and I'll watch them get on the wait list every time we open a new cohort. Wait list, wait list, wait list. And then at some point, like recently, we started collecting their phone numbers. So I'll message them, I'll send them a video of me in my room and be like, should we remove you off of the waitlist roster or does this feel like something you're finally ready to commit for? Because I've seen you on the waitlist multiple times. Like, I think sometimes people just need a little push and it doesn't have to be icky. It can be the push from someone that believes in them that they've been needing in order to take that next step.
Yeah, for sure. I think you can follow up as many times as you want, as long as it's sincere, then it won't really backfire in your face. At least that's how I think about it. Do you always work with a wait list before launching and then eventually doing the launch and setting up the funnel and stuff?
Well, recently this year we've made a lot of changes. Like I said, it's constantly refined. So our goal, we had a wait list for probably about a month and a half. Like we opened up our 2025 cohort, the first one of the year, had a wait list probably for about a month and a half, and now it's open again for our spring and summer semester. And so we have set up like a whole back end funnel right now. And our goal is to not really have to do a wait list anymore. We want people to be able to come and register for the upcoming next cohort as soon as possible and like get them enrolled and get them, excited about their upcoming semester than having so much like wait time in between.
Yeah, yeah, that's really interesting having the backend. How does the funnel itself look like? If you want to share that, do you have like some kind of freebie and then you have the sales page, some follow-up emails, or how does this look?
Yeah, so we're actually taking a course right now that's all about like how to scale your course. And the first thing that we are doing is the funnel. So right now what we have, we just launched it recently, is free training, and then they're offered, a discount to enroll within 5 days using tools like Deadline Funnel and then email follow-ups. And they get, up 7 to 8 emails. And then after that, they're just added to our regular like broadcast newsletter segment. And so we have not converted anyone from that yet, but it's pretty new, and I suspect it will probably take a lot of people to actually convert someone because of the price tag of our program. But
Hmm.
if someone does want to move forward, they basically have to fill out an application. We charge a small fee for the application because we don't want people who aren't serious filling it out and wasting our time. And then after they fill it out, they're prompted to schedule a qualification call. Like, we don't just let anybody into our program anymore. It's like you have to have a call with us and we have to feel that you're a good fit to even get in. So that's kind
Hmm.
of what we're doing now. And it feels a lot better because in the past we would just have like the open sales page where anyone could come. If they had the money, they could enroll. And we've had people take advantage of payment plans, we've had people do shitty things, and so we just got to the point where we're like, we're raising the price again, and now you have to apply to get in. It's not just a free for all, anybody can get in. And I think that even works to our advantage in terms of selling. Like, now more people want to join because it's exclusive.
Hmm. Yeah, I can definitely imagine that. I saw I think it was like $25 application fee, and I thought that was so interesting and it made me curious. Like, did you see some of the effects already in amount of people that apply and the quality of those people?
Yeah, I mean, so previously when we didn't have an application, or even just waitlist in general, like, we would have so many people who acted like they were interested, but then wouldn't follow through. And I was like, okay, if we're gonna do this, we don't want to waste our time reviewing applications from people who aren't like completely serious. So to get those other people out of the way, if we charge a small fee, they're not going to take time to apply. And also in the US, when you apply to college, you have to pay a fee. And I didn't understand that before, but now I understand it because they don't want people applying who aren't serious. So I was like, well, we're just going to take that model and put it on our business. I mean, because we say Design Business Academy University, like, we kind of model it after a school. So yes, the answer to your question is most of the people who are filling out applications are like 8 to 10 level, like ready to join. Like, if we're talking on a scale of 1 to 10, usually it's like 8 to 10. We've had a few people apply who didn't follow through, but so far it's like the people that apply, I'd say at least 80% of them are joining and enrolling.
Yeah. Okay, that's really cool. And did you do some tests to check like $25 is the sweet spot of having people that are qualitative and still enough people that want to join at that price? And did you test with like lower prices, higher prices?
We haven't tested any other prices. And like, I picked 25 because I was like, if they're not willing to invest $25, they're not going to be a good fit for us because of the price tag of our
Hmm.
program. So, like, to me, I was like, that seems like a healthy, I mean, that's like a nice dinner, somewhere. So, like, I feel like that's a healthy price tag. I did consider making it lower, but I was like, I feel like 25 is a, a good spot.
Yeah. Yeah, I get that. It's like maybe you could try it with your funnels as well, but there's like a study or a test that has been done that if you charge like $1 for your lead magnet, that the people that enter your funnel are way more likely to convert into your higher ticket programs. So I heard that you were following a course on that. Maybe you can take that with you. And the $25 strategy application fee is something that definitely worked. But do you have used strategies or tactics that didn't work as well as you expected?
So that's funny you bring that up because before we had our new funnel set up, we had a workshop that was free. And I feel like a lot of people who were getting that workshop weren't even taking the time to watch it or take it seriously. So we made it $1. But then we had like not hardly any people getting on our newsletter because they weren't buying it because it was $1. So we've tested all sorts of things. I mean, I I've tested that. I've tested like a free price guide with an upsell, and we had a few upsells, but not a ton. And ultimately, this year we've kind of simplified a lot of stuff. Like instead of offering, this freebie and that freebie, we literally have one freebie, which is our free training, which takes them into the funnel. And then if they watch that free training, their incentive to stay is to get a free pricing guide and another workshop for free. Like we tell them how to get to it at the end. So I was like, okay, in order for us to do that, we're probably gonna have to remove those freebies from other places. So like we've tried all sorts of things.
Hmm. Yeah, yeah, I'm definitely a big fan as well of just simplicating stuff because I think it's a big misconception that you need to have a funnel with 13 different steps, and if somebody answers this to a question, you have to change it up. Whatever, I think simplicity is what scales. I think it was Sabri Subi who said that. I don't know if you know him, but yeah, you have like a school community as well, and you
Mhm.
have your signature course. What is the biggest difference between these programs, like except for the pricing tag, because obviously the community is cheaper or more low ticket than the signature course?
So our community social butterfly club is only $29 per month, so it's a really low entry fee. And we do bi-weekly design therapy sessions. So we have like groups of people that come on and we can kind of like give advice or event or whatever. It's basically just a way for potential students or designers that need support but don't want our high level program yet to join and get access to some lessons on marketing, some lessons on mindset, and be in an environment where they can get support from us. And then we have actually seen a lot of people in that program convert into our high ticket program. So it's kind of like giving people a taste of what our full experience is like. But in our high ticket program, you are given assignments. You're on a very like straightforward schedule. We have bi-weekly live coaching calls. We give you tailored feedback on your report card. Like you get more one-on-one. It's more intimate. And we have a structured process that they follow over 3 months to actually go from struggling designer to booking high ticket clients and having a successful business. So like our social butterfly club, you're not going to get that type of support. You're not going to get that type of structure. Yes, it will help you. It'll give you some tips and some, support, but it's not going to help you book a 10K client like our signature program. And that's like the big selling point for our big program.
Yeah. Okay, that's interesting. And did you first started off with the signature course and then later on added the community, or they both started like the same time?
So we started with our signature program, and we wanted to be like the all-in-one solution for graphic designers, which was stupid, but you have to try things and learn. So we ended up making like a graphic design basics course. We had a learn how to create logos and branding course. Then we had our big course, and like we just weren't getting a lot of sales for these other two, and like our genius was really in design business building, not in how to use the tools. And there were a lot of other competitors for those tools as well, and so we didn't really see a ton of success there. And eventually we kind of changed things around. We had like a web design program and we had our signature program. Then we had like a social media program, and we invested over $8,000 into running ads with someone, and it didn't get us the results. Like we got the same results we were getting organically, and she had kind of convinced us to do the social media program because it was like 100 and something dollars. It was like mid ticket. She's like, you need a more mid ticket offer, blah blah blah. And so that's why we had created that. And I think we had too many different offers. It was confusing. And then on top of that, once we joined our new program that we're in right now, where we're learning how to scale our course, our coach said your mid ticket was cannibalizing your big offer. And I was like, that makes so much sense. Oh my God. So that's why now we have
Mm-hmm.
our signature program and then we have Social Butterfly Club, and like they're vastly different in price, and like that's it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's very interesting to hear from like the mid-ticket cannibalizing the higher ticket one. I, that makes so much sense. Would you say that it has been like your biggest learning in building these two programs?
The biggest learning curve has actually been managing team members, unfortunately. So we did host an in-person retreat last year for the first time, and our team members are not full-time employees, they're contract employees. And first off, we didn't even outline a budget for our retreat. I don't know what we were thinking. And we had like 17 people attend. Like it was a big retreat. It was amazing. But we also paid for three contract employees to attend the retreat. We paid for their food, we paid for their stay. Then we get back, and a week later, one of them quits. A month later, the other one quits. And by the end of the year, they all had quit and like formed this like group where they just don't like us anymore and don't support us anymore. And I don't know why, I don't know what happened, but that's honestly one of the biggest mistakes we ever made, because we poured so much time into training these people, but also paid for them to be at our retreat and experience these things with us, for them to completely turn on us, leave the company, and it was just not a good experience. So that's probably been the biggest thing as like somebody in a leadership role.
Mhm. Yeah, yeah, that makes sense. And how many team members do you have, and what are the exact roles?
So right now we have three, and so all of those three people that left have technically been replaced. So one of them plans out our social media content and schedules posts and things like that. The other one is kind of taken on a coach role with us. She is really, really like advanced, and she's really great at mindset stuff. So she was actually one of our first students to ever join our program years ago. So we brought her in, and like we just knew that she would be a good fit. So she kind of helps us manage the sorority portion of our Design Biz Academy University, which is like a sisterhood. Like when they join in, they get to be a part of that. They can choose to attend the calls or whatnot, but she kind of handles that. And then the other employee runs our Adobe Illustrator tutorials. So like now, as part of our program, our students are offered the opportunity to attend like Adobe Illustrator little coaching sessions and like practice their skills. So like although it's not offered publicly as another course or something like that, like they're still offered the opportunity to work on those skills, because some of them do need that help.
Mhm. Yeah, okay. And like managing the community, that's something that you still do yourself.
For the most part, we do have, so the employee that does the Adobe Illustrator calls also allows Social Butterfly Club members to attend those. So like we kind of mix our students with that little, bi-weekly call. And then we do have one of our previous students who we really trust, and she's just really a big advocate for our community. We allow her to host co-working sessions every other week. So for the most part, it's those two things. Then we have our bi-weekly design therapy, and every so often we have like a special event. Like, for example, a few weeks ago I did like a warm outreach training, and now we're gonna do like a part two of that later this month. So like we do have little surprise pop-up events, but other than that, we're pretty much managing the community, and a lot of it like we have prompted them to like, okay, when you get in here, introduce yourself, and we have gamified it, like we're using gamification, so like it helps people kind of interact on their own and post.
Yeah. Okay, that's interesting. And the content that you guys shoot for like the social media and to grow and scale the Brief Collective, you've mentioned that you have somebody who does like the social media planning, but does she also decides the strategy and what to post, or is this something that you guys still do yourself?
She, I wouldn't say she's necessarily a social media strategist or anything. Like She helps us think of some ideas and plan them out. But outside of that, I'd say myself and my co-founder kind of are like, okay, what's coming down the pipeline? What do we need to be talking about? What do we need to be focused on? And I'm kind of like our marketing lead. Like I kind of post at my leisure because going into this business, I already had a big following on my own design business. So it was kind of a given that I'd probably be the marketing lead for the Brief Collective and still am. And that's something I really enjoy doing, like just educating publicly and like supporting people publicly with tips and just making content. And I'm really, really like, I've been reading, I don't know if you know Russell Brunson, but I've been reading all of his
Yeah.
books. And so I'm
Mm.
really into like the sell side of things.
Yeah. Those books are definitely going to help you with the funnels as well. Uh, so that's really nice. And I think, in my opinion, doing it yourself still, the content, the social media strategy, it's like one of your most important tasks, and you're very good at it as well. You've grown your own personal profile. The Brief Collective is also at, I think, like 70K. What are some, I don't want to say tactics because it's obviously a lot of work to grow that, but what are the things that you've seen do very well and some things that you thought like, okay, this is gonna grow it, but eventually didn't?
Mm. Well, I think a big part of it is just practice. Like, it's a skill you gotta build like anything else. And sometimes I'll spend a lot of time doing like an in-depth tutorial video, and I spend a lot of time editing it, and then it doesn't do very well. And I'm like, what the fuck? I'm giving you guys so much good information in this video. But like, that's the game of social media, right? And then I'll have other videos where it's like, I think if you know your target audience really well and know what they struggle with or what's controversial in your industry, it can be easy to make quote unquote viral content. Like for our industry, pricing is a big like taboo topic. And so I talk about pricing all the time. So it's kind of a given if I make something about pricing, most of the time it's going to go viral. Or if I make something about what I charge, it's going to go viral. Or things like that. So, if you know those pain points and those challenges that your people are facing, I think it's a lot easier to make content that's going to resonate with them and be shared and talked about.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a very good tip. And do you use like the pain points to create content that's like, this is how you fix pain point A, for example, or is it more you twisting in the knife and showing how painful pain point B is, and then maybe teasing them to take a look at one of your products that can help you fix that issue?
It's a combo. I definitely do a lot of videos where, I'm like, okay, you have this problem with clients. Here's what you do to fix that problem. And I explain how to tackle that challenge. And then I'll usually direct them to, okay, here, comment, blah, 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 to get, this free resource or a paid resource. Like, it just depends what I'm talking about. And then other times I'll be like, okay, this thing hasn't been working for me until I learned X, Y, and Z. If you want the free training, here's how to get it. So most of my marketing, I'd say, involves those things, and I kind of flip flop between what I'm feeling, what I want to talk about. But I also always try to like point it to something free. I don't usually like to point to things that are paid because I'm always trying to build trust with my audience. And one of the things I've done recently is actually put the workshop that I hosted in our community as like an incentive. I'm like, okay, you can get this training for free by starting a 7-day free trial in our membership and watch it for $0. Like, that's kind of the approach I'm taking to give them something for free, but also be like, you have to commit to, at the bare minimum, putting your information and joining this membership to get it.
Yeah, yeah, that's a very good way, because I think the hardest part about creating content for like an info product business like the Brief Collective is finding the balance between giving valuable information, but not giving it all away for free, if that makes sense. How do you deal with that?
We'll read these books, number one. They have definitely like made me think differently about certain things, about the way I approach certain topics and how I'm describing them. But I think the other thing is, I used to really be an advocate for you can never give too much value until I figured out that if you give to so much value that people think they can go do the thing themselves, they'll go do it and they'll do it wrong and not get the results and then blame you or your strategy and then think that your method doesn't work when in reality they just didn't do it right. So, like, sometimes we think we're helping people by giving them so much value, but we're actually doing them a disservice because they're going to go implement it wrong. So, I think, like, you can kind of give a high level overview of like, okay, here's what you're going to do, but like the nitty gritty details and the really step by step stuff, that's, behind some type of community membership trial or paywall or something where people have to commit a little bit to get the resource. And like, I think this method of me putting it in our membership has been working really well because it seems like a lot of people on our trial are converting and staying. So it's like, it's forcing them to get in there, experience our community, see how valuable it is, and then they get so much value they want to stay. And so
Hmm.
yeah, it's all about finding that healthy balance. Like I also don't like people who beat around the bush though. So like that's really where it is kind of a little bit hard to like how can I tell them what to do without giving every little detail.
Yeah, yeah, that's a good one. Um, what would you say are some of the biggest mistakes that you've made while growing the Brief Collective that other people, if they want to start something similar in their niche, should avoid?
Make the business work for you and your lifestyle, not what you think your students or potential clients need. So, like, when we first opened up the course, our live coaching calls were at 8 o'clock at night because we thought, well, we have a lot of students who are still working full time jobs or still working part time jobs, and like, we want it to be accessible. And we grew to hate that, especially me. I really didn't like doing stuff at night. And so this year, with all the changes we've made, one of those changes was switching our calls to the afternoon during the day. And that was one of the best decisions we ever made. So I think when you're building something like this, you've got to think about what's going to work for your lifestyle and you, and not your students or your potential clients. Because at the end of the day, the time of our calls hasn't even impacted the enrollment rate. Like that had little to nothing to do with it. Like people don't even pay attention to the stuff we think they are paying attention to.
Hmm. For sure. And I think it would reflect on your way of doing the coaching calls if it's at a time where you're like, damn, I actually don't want to do this right now. So make sure that you put yourself on number one. Okay, amazing.
Yes.
The info product space is evolving a lot and very quick. How do you see it evolving, and how do you see the Brief Collective in the bigger picture?
Long term, we want bigger classes, we want more automation, we want more in person events. We're doing a retreat again this year. We already booked it. It was twice the price of the one last year, and we made no money last year, but we're doing it a different way. So I think, AI is coming into the picture. There's a lot of things you can do with AI, and we've definitely been taking advantage of the tools that are becoming available. I think, especially in the past year, people are looking more for human connection. So, like, not doing everything online, trying to go more to in person things, trying to put letters in the mail, or like just bring back the physical, in person, experiential things and really show this isn't just something that lives on the internet. This is something that impacts real lives. And I think that's probably the biggest way course creatives are going to stand out moving forward.
Hmm. Yeah, yeah. The human touch is more important than ever because trust is at an all-time low. Um, do you see the Brief Collective evolving or expanding into another niche besides the designers? Because you obviously know a lot about marketing, about building a community, about building an info product space. Is that something that you see yourself potentially do in the future?
Well, my co-founder and I have actually even played around with the idea of having a third business, but we're waiting until we have a client for that business. I mean, we would like to be able to support other entrepreneurs who are already building stuff. They're already doing a lot of stuff and like they're ready to share their knowledge. They're ready to maybe build an online education community. Like we want to be able to support those people. And I've already done that actually in my service-based business. I had a client who just so happened to basically get really big on TikTok, like 700,000 followers. And she's like, okay, I'm ready to go into education. I'm like, yes, this is my chance. So I'm working with her right now. We're on like, she's paying me a retainer every month, and I'm helping her build out her community in school. And so I'm definitely like diving my toes into helping others build educational aspects, but I don't think publicly we would tie it to the Brief Collective. Like I think if we, branch out and do something, it just needs to be separate again for the purpose of simplicity and just like everybody not being confused about what's going on.
Yeah, yeah, that makes sense. Makes sense. And what would you do differently at the start of like this potential third company than what you did at the Brief Collective?
Profit first, number one. So, like, before we even do a photo shoot or start on the branding or anything, like, we want to have an actual paying client. And
Mm-hmm.
number two, have ironclad contracts. As I mentioned earlier, there were three people when we started the Brief Collective, and that royally screwed us. I mean, we were in litigation with some very wealthy, very evil people for a brief period of time, and I don't ever want to have to experience something like that again. So, and it's like the classic tell, right? Like, always have a contract. It doesn't matter if you're friends. And we didn't listen to it and learned the hard way. So,
Yeah. I think that's definitely one of the things. I've learned it as well the hard way. You can only learn it in that way. I think everybody makes that mistake.
yeah, it's like
Uh,
it doesn't matter what people tell you. You have to go through it personally to be like, oh, fuck. All right.
yeah, that's definitely the case in the contract thing. If like an entrepreneur is thinking what you're doing with your client who grew her TikTok following, what was the first piece of advice that you gave to her? Like this is the first step that you need to take.
Well, she started out making courses and was selling them like in one-off, online opportunities on her website. And I think where we're headed in the education space is building monthly subscriptions, like monthly recurring revenue, right? So like at the Brief Collective, one of our also biggest challenges that I didn't speak about is cash flow. It has always been cash flow. This year that's changing because we have a monthly membership now. So like with my client, she had done some one-off courses and I was like, hey, here's my idea. We take these and we put them into a monthly membership. Like people clearly want to talk to you. They want to get feedback from you. So we can make a low ticket membership. And then if people want these other courses, they can pay an additional fee to gain access to those in this membership. And so if you're thinking about going into the education space and building courses, I think you should really consider doing some type of monthly membership model in order to build something that's truly sustainable. Because when you just have one-off courses or you're just doing cohorts, you'll get like a huge influx of cash and then you're like, oh no, I have no cash this month because it goes so up and down. And having that monthly membership has kind of offset that cash flow issue.
Yeah. Okay, that's very valuable advice. Um, this was actually my last question. I thank you very much for your time. Where can people connect with you and learn more about the Brief Collective, about your work?
All right, you can follow me on Instagram at Kenzi Green Design. There's no E on the end of Kenzi. Very strange. I know. Everybody makes that same mistake. They put an E and I'm like, no. And then the Brief Collective, same thing, thebriefcollective.com, KenziGreenDesign.com. If you're somebody who wants assistance with like brand, website design, or done for you course management, stuff like that, head to Kenzi Green Design. If you want to see how we're doing things at the Brief Collective, you can check out our website. And I'm big into now funnel hacking, so you can always get on our funnel and look at what we're doing. I mean, there's no hiding that.
Nice. Thank you very much.